This is Hilton Milan. Thank you for tuning in to Divine Times. I'm here with special guest Vince Valenti. Vince, thank you for coming.
Hi. My pleasure.
In the decades that we've known each other, I have observed that you do nothing but help entrepreneurs develop their businesses. And I think there are 3 pillars, aren't there, that you specialize in?
Yes.
Tell us about those, please.
Well, of course, without money, there's no idea that will get your business going.
Yes.
That's one pillar.
Mm-hmm.
Without marketing, there's nothing to really manage. That's pillar number 2.
Yes.
And management keeps it all together.
Mm-hmm.
That's the glue that holds it all together and gives you the results you need so you can avoid the fiction you have.
When you speak of results, there are businesses that start off, and have a bit of success or even a lot of success, and then something happens.
Yes, they lose focus of what they're doing simply because they don't have any money and don't want to admit it, or they have too much money and use it for the wrong thing. That's usually why they lose the ability of making money.
Yes. So how would someone like you be able to help them when someone finds themselves in that challenging or crisis situation?
Well, let's put it this way.
Yes.
Finding the money is a very easy solution.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what you're willing to pay for it. If the deal is right, the money is there.
Yes.
But what's really important is how to keep the money. So if you don't have management to measure and keep on top of it and focus on making sure that the money is properly used, you certainly will not keep it. You'll lose it very quickly. So management and money gives you a grid. Now, to put content in a grid or a structure becomes the marketing end of the other 2 issues. So at the end of the day, it's all about the money, the marketing, and the management to keep the ship going in the right way, which is to make a profit. If you don't have those things, you'll lose focus and you're going to make a reasonable loss. In today's market, you'll find, if you look at stats, you'll find that 80% lose and 20% make it, if they're lucky. Normally, in reality, it's only 10% that make it.
Don't some businesses profit by losses?
Not intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think human nature will allow you to profit
No.
or create losses.
No.
And most people understand that they're not in business to create a loss. They're in business
But they can
to
use
create,
the loss to actually redirect themselves sometimes.
yes and no. I mean, loss is something you create that you can't avoid, not because you consciously want to create. A loss happens because something went wrong. You lost your focus.
And we have to learn something and
And,
correct something.
Your tax customization will allow you a loss credit to keep you on track. So
Just
that
for a
you-
little while.
Well, in this country, it's 3 years. After 3 years, if you are still having losses, you're going to be borrowing more money, which puts you more into debt.
And more
And if-
dilution.
And if you don't do that, your problem is they're no longer able to be expensed out. You're creating a capital loss, which is controlled by the people
Yes.
that give you the allowance of making that happen. The only other way you can work with losses is by creating a situation where you apply for allowable business losses. That'll give you back 75 to 85%. And that way you compensate for the loss you've put together and get a chance to revive and create another business that will keep your idea alive.
So would it be true that many entrepreneurs are unaware of the ability to utilize some of the experience, the mistakes, the losses to keep themselves going?
I don't believe that any entrepreneur has any idea at all except to make a profit and become a millionaire.
Yes.
They'll start getting the idea when instead of making profit, they end up with losses. And that might take a whole lifetime to learn. Or if they're sharp enough, they'll catch it immediately so that the next pile of money that comes in from another benefactor doesn't turn into a loss. And those are the ones that end up being reasonably of some value to society.
You know, in value, I understand that you came to this country, you know, with your family, and at a young age, as a you know, not even a teenager, and you had a beginning of an entrepreneurial life with different retail type businesses, and then you'd actually worked with one international company, and you took them from 0 stores and just an outlet to, I think, over 700 stores in Canada. So
That's correct.
What was the impetus or gave you the vision? And I'm going to say, you know, because we're talking about divine times, it seems you've manifested something or you had some type of a calling.
Yeah.
Talk about that, please.
Well, the company that was introduced to Canada
Yes.
was, they had a vision. They supported me with their vision. My job was to simply create the mission for that vision.
Yes.
And I was very focused on turning the vision and creating the mission I need today to get that vision when it was finally done. And by putting those pieces together, it worked itself out that in a simple fashion, which leads to a integrated business format is and make it happen.
Yeah.
What happens in life is you either go simplistic,
Yes.
which usually ends up to be very complicated, and it can be taken apart.
Yes.
That generates a loss, or you can go and do it simple, which will build in itself like a puzzle to a point of complexness where you can take a piece out of that puzzle and the rest of the picture still stays together and allow you to repair that piece that came off.
Yeah.
So the two don't mix. So when you lose focus, you simply become very simplistic and you create complications, which you can't ever fix.
Yes.
If you stay focused, then you're working with simple ideas that will allow you to grow into a complex situation and being able to pass that on to your next generation.
All right. You know, you've worked with several generations, so whether it be retail or manufacturing and now the digital age and social media, are the fundamentals, the principles still the same, or is it totally different?
The tools change.
All right.
That's the content of your structure. The structure still remains the same. And it's any company that grows does it by creating the structure that'll allow it to go from level to level. For as many generations there is where you don't lose focus on what you're doing. And that applies to your sons and your grandkids and whatever. So you can create something that grows, or you can lose focus and you end up with something that loses all the time. Government tries to help with it. Your tax department certainly will give you some stuff to take care of those losses, and develop credits that you can use to utilize and save the mistakes and turn them into something that will set you free. But if you keep ignoring the mistakes or the lessons learned, obviously you're going to be penniless at the end of the day. And it doesn't stop there. Being penniless means that you're going to end up on welfare. And it doesn't stop there, because your health is going to deteriorate faster than if you were having a good time. And if you keep it up, you'll die before your time. So there's got to be a time in your life where you say, basically, let go and let God.
Yes.
And leave it at that. He'll make the decisions with you, in conjunction with you.
Yes.
And that's, at the end of the day, is a good life.
So in this freedom that you spoke of, what are the mentors or who are the teachers that, any of us can, who have some of your teachers been, or can you point us in any direction so that we can do better?
Your best teachers, obviously, are the living kind. But if that's not available,
Yes.
just read the books that are available to you, the digital material that's available to you, and that you're attracted to. Because that will give you an idea on what your life should be all about. And you'll set yourself free by doing that all the time.
And can someone win on their own without also causing other people to win?
Each individual, the way I look at it, can win on his own.
Yes.
But when he tries to pass it on to someone else, he will miserably fail, because every individual is unique
Yes.
in what he does, and his strength comes from his heart. It does not come from his mind that thinks about everything except the right thing to do. So everything you do, you gotta consult your heart, work your mind, and keep consulting the heart so that you do not make a fiction of your life, but you can turn it into a result by doing what your heart tells you to do, as
Yes.
opposed to what your mind tells you in a fairy tale.
In some current results, you were mentioning to me this initiative called G-Bar that seems to be incredible and maybe even disruptive. Could you tell us about that?
G-bar is basically a new type of rebar
Yes.
that
And
through the
rebar is
efforts-
used like for bridges and construction and
it's
and
used for
roads,
roads, bridges, anything that you're building that's over 6 stories,
Yes.
you must use a safety feature,
Right.
like rebar.
Currently, the steel rebar that's been around for perhaps 100 years or
That's right. It's around, and
It rusts and it's only good for
The rust-
25 or 30 years and then they have to rebuild and there's breakdowns.
well, they have to maintain it every many years, and
So the
what
cost is,
the cost
escalates.
is horrendous on replacing, and it's easy to see that just by looking at things that happen out there.
Yeah, our roads.
Roads, how about buildings that the glass starts falling off? Or the whole premise of how they did this is not perfect. It's very, very unsafe.
Yes.
What this new G-bar will do is it's much lighter than steel. It does not rust in 25 odd years. It'll last 150 years. And it replaces the disruptive use of rust that happens. So it creates a whole different avenue of building,
Yes.
and it saves the taxpayers a lot of money, number
Yes.
one. Number two, which is more important, is the cement that sticks to the rebar
Yes.
takes about 60 years to cure.
Yes.
And when you're putting it against rust, it'll let go and fall. Simply because the 60 years to cure is not being brought into fruition because the rust kills the livelihood of bringing it there. So the change is something that is obviously must happen. The sooner the better. You see, the people before us had ways of building that are still around today.
Yes.
Take the Colosseum in Rome.
Okay.
Why hasn't it fallen down? Well, they were using steel, and it wasn't rusting. They were using mud and bricks, and that kept longevity of the
Endured.
building
Yes.
endure for hundreds of years. We don't have that today. Out of efficiency, we've gone into steel, which was so easy to make, and now are finding out that the steel rusts. So the very thing we're trying to avoid is definitely going to kill us anyway in that sense. So it's an environmentally safe product to use. And it's made by people like Corningware, one of your top companies in the world.
Yes.
People like Dow Chemical,
Yes.
another top company in your world. And
Yes.
it's supported by governments worldwide.
Yes.
And therefore, it's an accident, a positive accident, waiting to happen any time now. Especially when the bridge in Genoa falls apart after being in operation so little amount of years
Yes.
and kill 40 people on that moment in time.
Yes.
So if there's a benefit to a product
Yes.
like G-Bar, there is a tremendous benefit for mankind today. So
Right.
all shelters should be put together with a better product. G-Bar is made out of glass, polymers, and fibers.
Yes.
And that makes the difference to how we live in the future.
When new technology or disruptive technology products, services are introduced, the vested interests often are very resistant to change. Is that?
That is the story, simply because people that invest have the money out in the old technology,
All right.
and they will not turn around and change it.
So how does one succeed with
With a lot of
emerging?
determination
Yes.
and a lot of talk,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of lobbying to
Yes.
government and
Yes.
other sources,
Mm-hmm.
and I can go on forever.
If someone wanted to find out more about this, how would they reach you or find out more? Is there a phone number or a website?
Yes, we have a phone number they can contact me on.
Yes, and that is what?
And when they do that, I'll give them all the necessary information they need
Yes.
to satisfy their curiosity.
All right.
The number is 416
Easy to remember. Yes.
605
605
5103.
5103. Once again, 416 605 5103.
Correct.
Wow. Got a
There
little
you
bit of
got it.
memory working. And that's to reach Vince Valenti. And the product you mentioned, G-Bar, is there a gbar.com or is there,
There's
is that all in development now?
3 websites up there
Yes.
that we have
Mm-hmm.
that I will explain and give those websites anytime anyone calls
Alright.
me. That's the first thing I'll give them.
Yes.
The second thing I'll probably give them is the structure and how it works
Mm-hmm.
with the Army Corps of Engineers out of the U.S.
Yes.
and the civil engineers across the world.
Yes, because they all have to rubber stamp the safety and efficacy.
Well, we have patents on this product,
Okay.
which they have been working on for the last 30 years to develop.
Hmm.
And if you really look closely in your own country, like
Yes.
Canada,
Yes.
you'll find these bridges all over the place, from coast to coast.
Yes.
That were specifically done for our pending test,
Mhm.
and to assure that it's safe and it works for as long as you want it to work.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful, exciting. So in these new technologies and businesses, and any business, however large or small, in your experience, how does I'm going to ask the divine, or your experience of that, does that make a difference?
What do you mean make a difference?
In your own experience, if someone is just looking to their own mind, or is there a listening, or is there some type of...
There's all kinds of information out there on
Yes.
this product.
Yes,
Like any other technology,
yes,
especially new technology,
yes.
and that you only have to ask the questions.
Yeah, so
And
it's really...
the answers are always there. The answers are worldwide. Take, for example, food. Food. Today, our soil is so contaminated. There's
Yes.
no nutrients in the soil whatsoever. So, don't you think it's time to change the way we manufacture food, the way we plant food, the way we consume food?
Yes.
And how do you do that? Well, you got to change the system. If the soil is too contaminated to have any ingredients,
Yes.
remove the soil from the food because you can't use it. You
Right.
might as well add the ingredients, the vitamins and all that
Mm-hmm.
in the water that will feed the plants
Yes.
and the fish and whatever else it's got to feed to make that product work.
Yes. Yes.
So there's always something coming along to improve your life, whether it's shelter, whether it's food, or whether it's health.
Mm-hmm.
We have the abilities to do all that.
Yes.
It's just a matter of being able to see how the money is applied out there through humanity.
Mm-hmm. Are there some lessons that you believe humanity, needs to learn now and refocus or repurpose?
I think humanity needs to be a lot more intuitive and curious about how the environment treats them, and to change that environment and get a better picture on how you should live.
Mm-hmm.
There's no need to have gas masks in China,
Mhm.
for example, that stops you from breathing.
Right.
There's no need to have contaminated water in Africa, where it's so contaminated, if you drink it, you're going to die anyway. There's no need for this. We got technology today that can change all that.
So
All
why isn't it
takes-
happening, or what?
Because money, what I keep saying is that in this world, we have fear that's predominant in it, and we have greed that's also predominant in it.
Yes.
So a guy with money will invest it not to make a better world for us, but to make more money.
Mhm.
And if that is not released, and if you don't turn around and say, no, let's make life integrally safe so that we can live the life we dreamed of living,
Mhm.
then we have a problem. And that problem can only be cured by having the results necessary to make all this happen in those three areas: shelter, food, and health.
And what part does education play in this?
Education does it all.
Mm-hmm.
It's all education.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is if we don't hurry up and do something and keep saying to ourselves, well, we'll just kill people so the population will shrink and we're all going to be fine. And we're not all going to be fine.
Yeah.
Because you are born to live.
Every one of us is. So killing
So-
people through wars and all this just,
That whole system of living has to change.
yes. What can it be changed into so that we can actually?
Education is your first
Yes.
step.
Yes.
The more you're educated, the more we can breathe freedom into our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And
So-
without that, there's nothing.
So everyone or anyone that is an entrepreneur has an even bigger opportunity, but also a bigger responsibility to find that freedom,
Yeah.
consciously, that also helps to free other people rather than enslave people, but actually enlightens them so that everyone is more self-sufficient and contributing to the community or corporation or constituency.
That's correct. That's what has to happen. And the more we focus on it, the better our world will be.
And for you as a business developer, essentially any entrepreneur or business owner that would like to improve their business has the opportunity of benefiting by working with or inquiring with you about.
Yeah, it's lots of people out here. Anybody that's in education, anybody that's in research can help that business grow. There's no one particular person. It's
Okay.
it's humanity as a team that can make it happen.
Everyone making a system of,
Yeah.
our best resources, our good or our constructive and proven resources, and looking at what will make things better that is from the future, bringing it present.
That's correct. And if we ignore it much longer, we'll find that AI, artificial intelligence, will have us replaced. And you say, well, that's nonsense. No, it's not nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
You notice that they are already doing more and more work. And the human being is just staring at it.
Yes.
Soon to become a useless being if things don't change. So all I'm saying is we should let God and let go.
I thank you so much for demonstrating and doing all you've done and that you continue to do and being part of these divine times. Vince Valenti, again, thank you.
Thank you.
Till again. Everyone else, look for your divine inspiration and calling to contribute to this world being a little bit better, starting with your family, your friends, and your communities. This is Hilton Milan for Divine Times. We'll see you in the light. Thank you, Vince.